Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Chronicles, where fans become family. What's going on, everybody in the chat? We're going to give everybody a quick shout out to start the day. It's Friday. The weekend's coming. Everybody's feeling good. The weather in New York is great. So good morning to you, Jonathan. What's going on? Ken, how are you doing? What do we know? Well, if you've known me long enough, I don't know much, but I know that the Yankees are kicking everybody's freaking ass. Stephen B., what's going on? Donald will be joining us shortly. He had a meeting that ran late, but he is definitely on his way. FJ, what's going on? Good morning to you. ABX, I just said before we click live, haven't seen you in the chat in a while. Welcome. Hope everything has been well for you. You have always Joan in the chat with us. Good morning, Joan. Medina, what's going on, Medina? Good to see you joining us this morning. And to everybody else that'll be watching us on Twitter and Facebook, good morning to you. And as always, if you do want to join our awesome chat, it's free, it's easy. All it takes is a click of the sub button on YouTube. Sunil, good morning to you. Let's get to the game. We covered the first two games on Wednesday, and then we had it was of the 4-game set. When you look at the other two, the last two games, the Yankees, it was pretty much rinse and repeat in Game 3, where we just kind of rolled with it, just kept the offense clicking. Yesterday was a completely different story, so it was almost like a tale of two teams. What's going on, Demon D? Welcome to the chat. Sweeping a 4-game set, we always say it's very hard to do, regardless of the team. But the way they dominated the 3 out of the 4 that they won was pretty impressive. And I think that, yesterday's game, the loss, it was one of those, shit happens. You can't win them all. It would have been the first time that they've ever swept the Royals. Especially, I think it was because they said it 2 different ways on the radio. They said it would have been the first time that they swept the Royals in a 4-game set, and then they added that it would have been the first time in Kauffman Stadium. So let's just say it would have been the first time they swept them at home in a 4-game set. I don't know if that other, my memory ain't what it used to be. But what's going on, Dev? I saw you sneak in. Lou, good morning. The best thing, and we said this on Wednesday, and it really did continue in games 3 and 4. This was a complete team effort in these games. Nobody kind of took a back seat to anything. And before I throw it to you, Rob, can we just say you're welcome, Anthony Rizzo? We criticized the crap out of you on Wednesday. What's the first thing you do? You get the ball out of the infield. We made the comment how, we want to see that, you elevate the ball. You had your first home run in over a month. So you're welcome. It's all because of us. We'll take all the credit. Rob, how you feeling on this Friday?
No, screw all that. He cost us the game. So I ain't giving him
we'll get to that part of it later.
Credit. No credit at all. He can hit all the home runs he wants, but if you keep costing us games defensively, we're not going to take credit for that. 3 out of 4 is great. You always take that every day of the week, but I'm getting really annoyed of these constant losses thanks to defensive blunders.
Yeah.
Like I said, it happens once a series. I don't want to be overly negative because we did win in other series, but when you're seeing the same issues pop up every single series, and it usually leads to a 9th inning loss or an 8th to 9th inning loss, it's frustrating because you're like, this team could be have 55 wins at this point if it wasn't for some of these defensive blunders. And Rizzo giveth and he taketh. That was really the case with him yesterday because he got us the first run on the board. He was able to get a sac fly, and now all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, maybe it's the turnaround, and then here comes the 9th inning where he just kind of lazily, I don't even want to use the word lazily, but he's kind of like la 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 all the way to the ball, and then the flip is late. And I'm just like, what is he doing? Because that's a Gold Glove first baseman. He should know better how to make
Yeah.
that play. So that was the frustrating thing about it. It's like he was doing so much better. He took a walk earlier in the game. He swung the bat really well, obviously, got the home run. And you're like, okay, this can be the turnaround for him. Sometimes all it takes is one game. And then there's the other side of the ball as well. And his defense has been very, very shaky this year. And you saw the case of that yesterday. So it was frustrating. And the fact that we came back, we were getting no hit. Soto breaks up the no hitter. Yeah, and Joan, you're right. Two very lackadaisical. That's the word I was looking for. It's the whole la 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 la. That was just him kind of like along whatever. But yeah, la, lackadaisical. So it was frustrating. But again, I'm going to take 3 out of 4 every single day of the week against a good team. But it is frustrating knowing that we could have had a sweep if the defense once again does not cost us a game.
Yep. And it's going on, Sean. I'll pull this coming up. Platinum Glove winner, no excuses for Rizzo. But that's been the problem. Like, if it's hit towards the first base side, the first baseman is the one that's responsible for taking charge of how the play gets orchestrated. The same way we put the responsibility on the shortstop to kind of be the field general and making sure that the plays are completed. So between shortstop and first base, shortstop, not a problem. I mean, it's almost like, you would think the way that Volpe's been playing, he's a seasoned veteran. Meanwhile, the seasoned veteran is playing like the rookie, making those little mistakes and those mental lapses. No, it's unacceptable, And yeah, I mean, you want to give him credit for the bat starting to wake up a little bit. But Rob, I think you're right. I think it's hard to give, to start taking credit for it. It's unfair to take credit when we're seeing, the mishaps like that. Should have Holmes been a little, little more hustle to either the ball or the bag? Yeah, I think it was a combo blunder on the both of them. But Rizzo has to be the field general in that play, and he's got to dictate who's doing what. And he did not do that at all. So really, a bad play by Rizzo, all around.
Well, Raziel, you're right about this being spoiled because last year we would be begging for a split. So obviously, when you're winning as many games as we are, you look for little tiny things to pick apart. And this is a little tiny blip on a really good series. But again, we're talking about a team that wants to win a World Series. You can't afford to have these defensive miscues in October. If that happened in a playoff game, we would be screaming our heads off. I know it's June, it's not October. A lot can happen between now and June. But we need to get this defense cleaned up. We need to get this defense cleaned up because this is happening far too often. And yeah, and Lou, you're right. The Orioles they continue to win. So as good as we've been, the Orioles are right on our ass, like Lou said. So every win counts. If we want to win this division, we got to try to take advantage of games when Baltimore loses, and they're not losing a lot, just like we aren't losing a lot. So we need to get this defense cleaned up if this team is going to start to break apart a little bit from Baltimore. And again, it's the only issue that I can really look at and say that's the biggest problem on this team because the offense is really good despite the players struggling. I don't even blame Clay Holmes for that game. That game would have been over if the plays made it first. He got a bad call that would have been strike 3 and the game would have been over. He didn't have his best game, but he didn't pitch terribly. And I don't like this every single time he has 3 rough outings this year. Every single time here comes he's not Rivera. Rivera would never. Not every Yankee closer is going to be Rivera. Not every shortstop's going to be Jeter. Not every catcher is going to be Posada. And not every left-handed starter is going to be Pettit. We got to stop comparing every player to a core 4 member because it's getting very annoying. No one is ever going to be Mariano Rivera ever again. He is the greatest of all time for a reason. Let's get that out of the way. I think Clay Holmes is a fine closer. Fine. Yeah, Rivera did blow saves as well. But if that play at first is made, We're not talking about Clay Holmes. We're talking about a series sweep and a comeback win. And wow, this team does not quit. This team does not give up games. But yesterday was another issue of this defense is costing us. And I don't want that to be the case in October. So again, there's still plenty of time for this to get cleaned up, but you're seeing it happen from the same suspects every single series. It's Torres or Rizzo. They kind of alternate. Last time it was Torres, and against the Dodgers, it was Glaber. This time it's Rizzo. So I want that to get fixed because this team has all the capabilities to win a championship. But if you have these kind of blunders when it matters most, in the dog days of August and September, and then going into the playoffs, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of retired the comparison narrative. I don't want to hear it anymore. That's why I'm like I'm so turned off by this is the next this guy, this is the next that guy. It's really annoying because it puts unfair pressure on the player. With Dominguez, the next man. Stop. You can't compare Holmes to Rivera on two totally different pitchers. Also, two totally different eras. The games were played differently. Baseball's been pretty much the same since its inception, but each era goes through its own niche. Rivera is also one of those players like a Babe Ruth or a Ted Williams. Like, they don't come around, all the time. We may never see anybody dominate like Rivera did. And he wasn't perfect either. Like they said in the chat with the with the World Series. So let's stop. Just stop. It's unfair to Holmes. And Stephen B put a comment up earlier. I'm going to pull up here. 3 out of the 4 blown saves for Holmes were all defensive blunders. We need to play defense and not beat ourselves. We need more fundamental sound on defense. Absolutely. We do need to be more fundamentally sound. But it was followed up by another comment, and I lost it, and I apologize for who said it, but credit to you. You cannot have your outing go off the rail when you're a ground ball pitcher. You have to anticipate that there's going to be base runners at some point. A ball's going to sneak through. There you go. It's just I don't think. I think we're putting unfair expectations on Holmes. But Holmes also has to realize if you are going to be a ground ball pitcher, you have to anticipate having to pitch out of the stretch. You have to anticipate that you have to look over your shoulder to check the base runners. You're going to have these things where it's not going to be a smooth outing. You can't have an implosion. But the defense has to understand that, all right, our closer is a ground ball pitcher. I better wake up in the 9th inning because one mistake can derail the whole inning. So it goes to where the team, they're beating themselves.
Yeah, and it goes both ways because you can blame Holmes. You can say, okay, Clay, you have to pick up your defense behind you. That's totally fair. Trust me. I'm not going to say you're wrong. Anyone's wrong for saying that because it happened several times. Whenever a defensive blunder happens, he seems to crumble. However, if those defensive blunders never happen, he doesn't crumble. So there's 2 sides to this thing. Yesterday would have been a sweep if Anthony Rizzo doesn't take a very lackadaisical, thank you again, Joan, approach to the ground ball. And the game is over and the Yankees have a comeback win and they have a sweep. And we're not talking about Clay Holmes. And I'm not trying to put this all on the defense because, again, Clay Holmes has to try to get that next guy out. Instead, he gives up the game-winning hit. So it falls on both people. But my biggest issue is this is happening far too often this year. And we do have a ton of wins. We have the best record in baseball, but a lot of our losses, a lot of them, and we don't have that many, a lot of those losses have happened in the exact same fashion as this one yesterday. So, again, that's my biggest critique of this team. It's not even the fact that Rizzo can barely hit the ball. It's not that Torres is having a rough year offensively. It's more so that we're seeing things that a championship team can't afford to have happen. So I want to see it get cleaned up, as everybody should want to see that get cleaned up as early as possible, so that when we get to October, we don't have to worry about it. So that's again, I can't stress that enough. This is a very, very, very freaking good team, and it has all the capabilities to go win a championship. But if that stuff happens in October, it is going to be very, very problematic. And Sean, you're right. The defensive blunders are reoccurring too often. It's once per series. It's not once a week or once every 2 weeks. This is once per series we're seeing these things, even the ones we sweep or have swept this year. So, yeah, and Ken, you're right. The play was poor communication. There's both players are at fault. Again, you can't just say it's only Rizzo. Holmes needed to get there quicker as well, but Rizzo needed to get to the ball quicker. So both players were at fault. It was an issue. And then you see the very next batter, I think it was, that's when the crumble happened with Holmes. So, again, it's not one player that's at fault. The entire infield, or at least the pitcher, first baseman, they need to be the blame needs to be put on those two, Holmes and Rizzo. But again, it's happening too often. Can't stress that enough. You get that cleaned up, this team's going to win a hell of a lot more games than it already has.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, we could be 3 or 4 games more above the Orioles if it wasn't for defensive blunders and the the blown saves, because they do tie together. But I was while you were talking, I'm like, listening to everybody in the chat, throwing Chapman's name out there, and how a lot of closers are struggling this year. I don't think there's ever been a closer in the game since they've used the closer role that has had a perfect season where they didn't blow any saves. Maybe
I think Britton might have been perfect.
There was the guy from Detroit, right?
Might have been. No, wasn't Britton? Was Zach Britton with Baltimore perfect for 1 year? If he wasn't, he might have blown one save.
Yeah, I know.
I can't remember who it was. It might have been Zach Britton. If someone can fact check that for me real quick, I think it was Zach Britton. He had a perfect season.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember his name, but I know there was the closer for Detroit when they went when.
K-Rod. It was K-Rod, right?
No, it was I can't remember his name. If I hear it, it'd be like, yeah, that's it. So for anybody in the chat wants to refresh my memory on it, feel free. I know it was during the Verlander years.
Francisco Rodriguez. Is that not him?
No, Armando something. Wasn't it Armando Benitez? No.
Armando Benitez. He wasn't the Detroit years.
No. I don't know, something with it. I don't know.
Yeah, Razio's saying K-Rod has the record for most saves at 62. K-Rod. That was.
Oh, okay. So it didn't sound like it was him. All right. But did he blow any saves?
I don't know about that, but I'm pretty sure Britton had a perfect season.
That's what I'm saying. There's never been a closer that's been, perfect all year.
No, not Galarraga, Jonathan. Galarraga wasn't a closer. He's the one who had a blown perfect game.
Yeah.
That got a perfect game robbed from him, I should say. You know what? I'm going to look that up because now I'm very interested in that. Because I want to know if someone had a perfect season.
Well, yeah, I'm curious now. Because, that's what it is. I don't think it's ever happened. If it did, there was a closer for Detroit that was just, he had the weird goggles. And I could see him. I just cannot remember the dude's name for the life of me.
Eric Gagne?
No, Rivera blew saves. He wasn't perfect. He never went through a year without blowing a save. That's what I'm saying. There's never been a closer that's had, Gagne did it in 84 saves, no losses.
Gagne did it in 03, he's saying. Okay. Well, I'll have to look that up. Zach Britton, 2016, Britton was 47 for 47.
Okay.
I knew it was Zach Britton.
All right. So one person's done it.
Yeah, it's been done, but it's very, very rare. And I'm going to look up Gagne while we're at it. But the whole point of it, while we get off track, is that it is incredibly rare that it happens. And that's all we're trying to say. No closer is going to be perfect because Rivera wasn't perfect. And Rivera was the greatest to ever do it. So that's the whole point we're making.
Yeah.
And yeah, and Gagne did do it in 2003. You're absolutely right, Raziel. He was 55 for 55. So good on you.
Yeah, but I mean, the moral of the story, it's unfair to completely bash Holmes when there's a lot of other things that are coming into play. Like has that cause and effect. Um, yeah, you know what, John? That was a boring game to start. And I'm gonna get in. Believe me, when Donald joins us and we get to the awards, I bring that up. So I'll leave that little cliffhanger.
Sunil's right. He was an angel. You're thinking of Valverde. That's who you're thinking of.
Thank you.
I got them completely mixed up because yesterday, or it might have been 2 days ago, it was Valverde. Yeah, thank you, Sunil. It was the anniversary of when Castillo dropped the ball.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure it was K-Rod, not a Met. It doesn't matter, but I had K-Rod in my mind from that, and yeah, it's Valverde. So he was an angel. You're absolutely right. Thank you, Sunil, for that correction. I could have sworn he was a Tiger.
Yeah, and I think FJ sums it all up right here. Because I'm less concerned about blown save statistics. I'm just tired of Holmes becoming nervous every time there's an error behind him. And that's what it is. It's not so much that the runners on base. It's how they're getting on base that completely throws them off. And if you are going to be a postseason closer, you cannot, hit that wall. You can't panic. That's not the time. So. But I also don't expect the same infield alignment come the postseason. I think that they are going to make some changes. Whether it's in-house or the trade deadline. Yeah, 2 months before blown save. Look, it was over a month before he had his first blown save, and we were like, "Who the hell is this guy?" So, and he's not hitting the wall like he did last year, where you didn't even want to see him. This year, he is giving you confidence when he's coming in. It's after he throws the first couple of pitches, then you start to get nervous, because you could know right away if he's on or not. And when you win 3 out of 4, that should be that should be a plus. Yeah, no, what we said, it was Valverde. It was Valverde. We figured that out.
Donald's not here.
Yeah,
not yet, unless he's somewhere that I can't see him. Is he in your house, Tats? Because I don't know.
Let me check my pockets. No, what's going on, Nosebleed? No, it's look. Like I said in the open, the probability of winning a 4-game series in professional sports is very hard. So, being we got as close as we did, let's not discount the fact that we just took 3 out of 4 from a pretty good team, because the Royals were they're not the Royals of the past. Wednesday, I gave them we credited them for their off season. So we're winning the series. We won another series. So what do you mean? It was that 17 series out of the 21 we've played. We've won them. So let's not get too. Let's try to scale back some of the criticism.
But the thing is, though, that's all we really have to criticize are things that should be cleaned up if this is going to be a championship team. We're not being critical of a bench player hitting 200. We're not like, oh my God, this team would be so much better if we didn't have Trent Grisham on the bench. No, we're talking about things that need to be cleaned up if this team wants to win a championship. So I don't think anyone's being overly critical when we start talking about the defense or we start talking about the closer, because when it comes to October, those are the two most important things. Who's going to close your game? Obviously, you need big hits, obviously, but if you have a lead, it's very important that your closer is on and your defense is secure and your defense is sound behind him, because if it is, guess what? You're probably going to win that game. So, and Ken brought it up earlier, Rivera to hit in 01 to lose the World Series. 04, he blew 4 saves in a row, I think it was, or close to it. He wasn't great in 04 in that ALCS. So, yeah, even the greatest of all time had his blunders. But that doesn't change the fact that these are the two things that would need to be cleaned up in October if this team wants to win a championship, because the ingredients for a championship are all there. Now let's just see if they clean it up, because there's still plenty of time to clean it up. And that's a good thing. Plenty of time to clean it up, but it does need to get cleaned up.
Yeah, Raziel says, is it possible to have another closer in the lineup, or am I bugging? The issue with the closer, I think we went over this a few times throughout the offseason. When it came into situations with Hader, do you bring in Hader? What do you do at Holmes? And they're two different pitchers, and I get that. It's the mentality of the closer role. There's a mindset to it. That's why we were like, look, if Hader's not going to take the ball for a 4-out save because he's not comfortable, then I don't want him as my closer. Because if you're not meant, it's closing the game out has an insane amount of pressure on it. Think about it. Think about the pressure to go in and have standing on the mound by yourself, throwing a ball to regardless of where in the lineup it is, because you also have the same amount of pressure on the batters as well, especially when you're home and you have the chance to walk it off. And they put some good at bats together against Holmes, but there's definitely a mindset of being not everybody could be a closer.
Right. And FJ, I want to ask you, because you said that Holmes needs to be a 7th or 8th inning guy. Well, who's your closer right now then? That's my question to you, FJ. I'm not like trying to attack you or anything. I want to know, who would you rather be the closer right now if Holmes is going to the 7th or 8th inning? Because Hamilton's been shaky. He's not been perfect. I don't trust Tommy right now because he's been bad his last couple of
I don't
outings.
trust him in the 6th inning.
Yeah, they almost blew it. It was like 11-2, and I thought they were going to blow it the other night. They couldn't get a single person out. I don't know what they're doing with Marinaccio. Tonkin? Is Tonkin your closer? Like, he's probably your next best choice. So,
I would say a toss-up between Tonkin and Weaver.
Yeah, I mean, Weaver might be the guy, but Weaver's so good at getting multiple outs. So,
well, he's a good multi-inning guy.
Right. So I don't know if you take him out of that role. And Joan, trust me, I want to see Jack Neely up here as soon as possible, but they got to get him in AAA first, just to get him a little time in AAA. Yeah. However, they did call up Yoendrys Gomez last year from AA, so maybe Jack Neely is a guy that
strange things have happened, but I don't anticipate a move just yet, unless there's an injury.
But Neely is a guy that, because Matt Blake spoke about him recently, so I'm hoping we get to see him soon.
Yeah, maybe next week we'll try to take a little dive into Neely's numbers. We'll do a little spotlight on him. Look, you brought up when Canley came in with the "Good morning, Sierra." Grandpa Tompkins looking surprisingly. Yeah, he looks older than me and Sunil. But you brought up the 11-5 game with Canley. Just a little heads up. That's why you don't call them garbage time home runs, or leads are never safe. That was almost a situation where we had to bring in a closer. After scoring 11 runs, so you score as many as you can. Don't take your foot off the gas because we're up. It's 11. What was it? 1.9 nothing, 10-1. I mean, you have to keep adding on. So that's why it drives me crazy when I see on social media about all these freaking now he hits the home run. Well, he put more runs on the board. Shut up and enjoy it, because you never know what's going to happen with a bullpen.
It was 8-2, I think it was, and then we made 11-2, and then it was 11-5. So yeah, thank God for those garbage time runs. Right? I hate that term. I really hate that term. Frank, you're right. You have to keep your foot on the pedal. And Miguel, I will say this because Donald's going to be here in a few minutes. He just messaged us in the group chat. he's been saying this since the start of the season. He wants some more strikeout pitchers in this bullpen.
Yeah.
And it sucks that two of those guys those hard throwers are hurt. That's Loizaga and Birdie. Those two are the hard throwers that get you strikeouts. They're both hurt. That's what the Yankees should be targeting at the deadline, is a strike thrower, whether that's from the right side or the left side. That could be Tanner Scott. If Marlins they should move him. He's on a 1-year deal and they're blowing it up. So I would love to get Nardi from the Marlins. He's a project player that Matt Blake can work wonders with, but they need to get some strikeout guys in that bullpen, because right now it's a lot of the same, and it has been the same. Sean, we don't know about Efros. I think he's throwing bullpens, but he's not really. They said more summer. It is summer now, but maybe like July, August for him. And he's another ground ball pitcher. And Sierra, Loizaga is talented, but he's always hurt, which sucks because he looked great to start the season, and then he got hurt like the first week.
Yeah, it's like when we started this, 4 or 5 years ago, Loizaga was the guy I was like put him as the closer. I thought he had all the stuff. He had the demeanor. He just never had the health. And it's a shame because he would be his stuff would make him such a great closer.
Mm-hmm.
He just can never freaking stay healthy, and it's a shame because I love watching Loizaga pitch. Or we had another comment in here. I wanted to get to really quick while we wait for Donald before we go into the awards. But we do have a series ahead of us. And Ken, thanks for your comment. Screw yesterday's loss. We have the Red Sox and the prize in front of us. This is our first series against our rivals. The Sox have an excellent starting staff, plus the Yankee killer Devers. The Red Sox, are they really our rivals anymore?
Yes. I don't want to hear anything differently. The Yankees-Red Sox is always a rivalry, no matter what. I think the Red Sox are, a game or two over 500? They're still very much alive in a playoff hunt, and that's a team that has injuries. They didn't spend basically anything this offseason, and they got killed for it, and they're still hovering. I hate that team with every ounce of blood in my body, but they are playing well for a team that has had the injuries they have and did not really add to it. And Rafael Devers, fortunately for us, Cole's not going to pitch against Devers, so I think we'll be safe. We might be safe from the Devers onslaught, but yeah, their pitching has been surprisingly really good. Like I hate them so much, but their pitching has been very, very strong. So it's going to be a real test. If we can hit their pitching, then I know that our offense is just on another level.
Yeah, I know. Either way, I kind of set that up for everybody, but no, they are definitely. They'll always be the rival. Screw them. I don't care if they haven't even won a game yet. I want them to have negative wins. But I know that's always something that comes into play because they really haven't. We haven't seen the intensity of the rivalry like we did years ago and during the dynasty years. And it kind of died out a little bit, but no, it's forever a rivalry. You guys are right. It's like when whenever I even hear anybody, I had to go to Boston, you cringe at that B word. That should be a curse word, Boston.
Yeah. Joan brings up a good point. Not about the Boston Marathon, but about Garrett Cole. He's starting tonight. Is it tonight or today? But he's making his third rehab start for Scranton. So
I think it's important. Tonight.
Yeah, so hopefully this is his last one. He might need one more after this, but I think if he does not make another start, he would be in line for the Baltimore series. I think game 2 of that series, which would be Wednesday. So I'm really excited for Garrett Cole. So far, everything's come out pretty well with him. So hopefully we see Garrett Cole back in this rotation soon. Maybe one more start after this, but it's either Baltimore or he'll make one more rehab start. But we're going to be getting our ace back very, very soon. And that's coming off of another series where our starting pitching was really good.
Yeah, the starting pitching, you notice, is really very rarely in our critiquing category.
Yep.
But good morning, Jason. What's going on? And for anybody that has not subscribed to 161 River Ave and checked out Jason over there, correct your mistakes and go hit that sub button over there and follow him. But it's not it. The starting pitching has just been insane. There's even with the question marks of Nesta. You know, he may have a handful of batters that he kind of loses it a little bit, but he bounces right back. Like his poise on the mound, he doesn't get rattled, and I think that's what's been helping him survive. Is he doesn't implode. He'll struggle a little bit, but it doesn't completely implode. So you got to get, we have to give Nesta credit for that because he could have easily, especially coming, going all the way back to the first game of the season, against Houston. It looked like we were just like, all right, what the hell? Like this is how we're going to start the year. And after that, he was lights out. He shut them down the rest of the way and gave us the opportunity to come back. And that's what he's been doing.
Yeah, he's had a couple of iffy starts here and there, but overall, his numbers are right around where you'd probably expect for him. Maybe even better, considering how bad he was last year before he went down. So yeah, Nestor on the road where he struggles against a good Kansas City team gave us 2 runs. And yeah, I saw that Jason Pereira is going to be out for the rest of the year, which sucks for him because I was hoping that they would have been able to move him to a team that would actually play him because he's blocked for us. And I was really hoping that he would get a shot because he's too good for AAA and he deserves a shot somewhere in the majors. But that probably won't happen until next season now. But yeah, and Ken brings up some good points as well about the bullpen arms. Anyone we add is not going to be an expensive arm. It's not like we're going to go get Edwin Diaz or anyone that's making like $6-7 million. It's going to be a cheap arm that no one really knows unless it's a Tanner Scott, a 1-year guy that won't cost you anything towards next year's payroll. And that's what they're going to do because the Yankees create bullpen arms out of thin air. And that's just how they are. So I wouldn't expect any huge names. Yeah, and Sierra, you're absolutely right. How about Cody Poteet?
Yeah,
let's talk about him before we get to these awards. Whenever Donald decides to show up, he said 5 minutes ago. That was like 10 minutes ago. So Donald, you're late. Anyway, Cody Poteet, man, what a story!
Dude's insane. I mean, for a guy, when you lose, you don't have Cole. Schmidt goes down after to credit back to Sierra's comment. Then you had, this call out with Schmidt, and it's almost like he's been part of the equation the whole time. What credit to Poteet? This dude makes you wonder how many more times are you gonna have to say, how are you gonna, what are you gonna do when they get back? What are you gonna do when Schmidt gets back? These guys are making, not that Cole's going right back to where he was. But it's amazing how we are having the conversation of, well, who do you move? Like, there really is no answer. There's no clear-cut answer. This guy has to come out of the rotation because they've all been a strength.
Well, it's going to be Poteet when Cole comes back. He'll get sent down because he's got the options, and then you have a conversation of what to do with him because it'd be disrespectful. Oh, what's up, Rich? It'd be disrespectful to Poteet really to send him down. But who out of the bullpen is going to get the axe unless someone's going to the IL? Do they option Marinaccio again? Because then you're killing his confidence because he's been pitching fine all season. So I want to see him stay here. What do you do? Ferguson's not going anywhere. Neither is Gonzalez because we need the lefties. Poteet should be the long reliever like Weaver. Yeah, you can have 2 of those. Maybe September. That's what the best time when the
I wouldn't do that just yet.
But right now, Poteet has. Well, I think they can use Poteet's options as long as I think it's like once per year. Maybe they DFA Canely. Yeah, he's that bad right now. They could do that. Look to move him. Do you trade somebody?
Yeah, Kalia. I mean, Kalia has become a weak link. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't excited about his comeback either. To the Yankees that when they signed him, I'm like, we already went down that road. So why do you keep? You're not. He was great for us his first time around, but why do we keep thinking we're going to strike gold twice? It's the odds of that are look at when we brought Chapman back for the second contract. You weren't going to get what you got. He was already a couple years older, and you bring Canely in when you have all these other guys in the pipeline. So it's Canely. I would just DFA him at that point if it really comes down to it.
Yeah, well, we still have a good month, but that can lead into FJ's comment. Ken Rosenthal says the Yankees will look to upgrade at first and third at the trade deadline. I don't think they'll get two bats. I think they're going to look for one bat that can possibly either play third or first, most likely a third baseman, so they can platoon Rizzo and DJ first. Yeah, and Rich, they used Marinaccio's options, but they can use it again. That's what I'm saying. If you use an option, it lasts for you can't use it next year, but you can still option him this year. I think that's how it works. And maybe baseball is so freaking weird, but I'm pretty sure they can, if they wanted to send Marinaccio down, they could, but it's next year that they would have to DFA him if they sent him down. So that's where it comes into play. Because they sent down Yoendrys Gomez multiple times this year already. Once in spring, and then again when they called him up and sent him down. So they can do that. You can, once you use the option, you can use it the rest of the year, and then next year is when the option runs out. Gotcha. Now I got that clarified.
Yeah, because that's where I always screwed it. That's where I always got confused.
But what do you think? Do you get a third baseman? Do you get, because I don't know who's available.
No, my focus is first base.
But who's available beside? Because I think the Diamondbacks are going to go on a streak. Ken brought it up yesterday in NFE stream. They're getting healthy, so I wouldn't look at the Diamondbacks as a team to maybe sell off some pieces. Pete Alonso, I don't think the Yankees go after. Goldschmidt, probably not. Like I'm looking at teams that could potentially be sellers. Is there really a first baseman out there that's going to be better than Rizzo?
It might be somebody like, I don't know if it's gonna. Oh, I like. There's not a name that jumps out, but I mean, if it was me, I would try to I would do my best to prioritize first base before third. I think we already have players that can handle the third base between Cabrera and DJ. And DJ can also handle first and second. So I mean, there's a lot of fair. All right, Rich, that's a fair take. I would be able to live with, because I've been calling for them to freaking platoon that all year. Like just split the time between the two of them so they both stay healthy throughout. Third base is not a position of strong organizational depth.
Not yet.
Yeah,
It's Peraza, and because Durbin's hurt, Arias and Lombard. Well, Arias is a shortstop that might not be a shortstop with the way Volpe's playing, and same thing with Lombard, who could play third. They're not ready at all. They're still way too far away, so they're not in the conversation. Unless you make a trade for a third baseman, and I don't know who that could be. We've talked about on different streams, and I've seen on Twitter Renjifo's name get thrown around a lot. That could happen because he wouldn't cost you much. And you can platoon DJ and Rizzo, or you can eventually call up one of those kids that are waiting. And Peraza is not playing well. You're right, Rich. He's not playing well at all. He's the only one that can play third defensively. So really, it's a trade. If you're going to upgrade third base, it's going to be a trade. And it's Renjifo. That's probably the best option. It's not going to cost you much in terms of prospects. You could probably get him for a few names off that Rule 5 list, because the Yankees have some decisions to make. There's a lot of players: Rumfield, Rice, Warren, Barclay's on that list. Zach Messinger is on that list. There's a lot of players that the Yankees can move from that Rule 5 list that they can get a couple of upgrades. They don't need much. They need a bullpen arm or two and a third baseman. Yeah, I love
morning, D-Rob. Yeah, there's definitely we're getting close to the wire where we start going on the player watch for where we need some holes filled. And Donald, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. What's happening?
We're talking trades. We're talking about Luis Rengifo. What did you think? Would that be a target for the Yankees?
Well, let's start. What do you guys think? Where would you upgrade? Because, to be honest, I can only think of maybe one relief arm, high leverage relief arm, and possibly a first baseman or a corner or a third baseman.
That's what I'm thinking. One arm or two, and Rengifo plays third, and that would allow you to platoon DJ and Rizzo at first.
Yeah, that makes sense. What are your thoughts on Rizzo? Should he have made that play? Because some people say, it was a tough play. Others, like myself, think that he should have made it.
Well, we talked about that earlier, of course, but no. To recap on that, I think Rizzo should have been like the field general of that play, and he should have orchestrated who was going to be where. I think it wasn't a matter of where they were positioned. It was he didn't position him and Holmes to be in the proper spot. So I'm putting the blame on Rizzo because it's the first baseman. It's his responsibility to orchestrate the play.
Should have charged.
That or pointed to Holmes, get the ball, and him stay on. Like, he has to make the decision of who's going to get the ball. That's Rizzo's call.
I agree.
But Holmes also has to be, aware of what Rizzo's doing. Like, they just were not in sync on that play.
Yeah, communication was poor, but we talked about that earlier. My whole issue with it is just how many times are we going to see the same thing? And I anyone that's been in the chat the entire show, I don't want to repeat myself for an 18th time, but how many times are we going to see this year? That's my biggest issue on this team. That's it. And it's because it's such a damn good team. And Donald, you weren't here for it, but that's what I kept saying. This is a championship team, but that stuff in October is going to cost you a championship. So it needs to get fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the Torres bashing, I think that's on the bench that's going to be benched for now because he actually he has been looking a little better. So I think I'm going to take a break on bashing on him.
He had a good series. Torres had a really good series.
Pretty good, yeah.
But all right, while we have you here and while everybody is enjoying the chat, and as always, you want to join the chat, you see us pulling up the comments as we go along. It's very easy. It's very free. All it takes is a hit of the subscription button on YouTube, and you can join the family. But right now, it's time for Donald's Awards.
We're vibing. So everybody, yo, another series win. Should have gotten the sweep, but I'll take 3 out of 4. So let's start with the MVP of the series. I'm gonna go with Uncle Tats. Who is your MVP of the series?
My MVP, I'm giving it to Soto. Another phenomenal series at the plate.
Robinho.
Yeah, having Soto back is such a benefit, but I'm going to give it to Gleyber. I think Gleyber really had a great series. He drove in a bunch of runs. He had the big home run. I think his bat's finally starting to come around. I want to give him some more love because he actually had a clean defensive series, and there weren't any issues with him. and his bat was there. So I want to give Glaber some credit. Played really well, and hopefully it's a sign of a better second half for him or a better summer.
Torres is a confounding figure, right? Because I felt he embarrassed himself against the Dodgers. I thought he had an embarrassing series. I thought his lack of effort, his lack of hustle was literally an embarrassment to the franchise and to himself. But then, why he's such a confounding figure is that the next day he could be a completely different ball player. And he had a really good series. He had a really good series. And it looked like nothing phased him. It looked like the Glaber that we all fell in love with earlier in his career. That's why he's such a confounding figure. It's not like an Anthony Rizzo where he'll go and bat 0-21 for about 2 months and be one of the worst players in baseball over a 500 at bat stretch. He's not like that. He can go one series to the next looking like a complete joke to excellent, and it could be just series to series. He's not. Do you know what I'm saying? He's a confounding figure, and his defense could be really bad for half a game, and then brilliant for the rest of the game. He's just such a weird figure. So, yeah, he had a good series. This was is a strange one. Strange. He's a very strange player to evaluate. He really is, because he's incredibly talented, but he just has these moments where he just doesn't focus. But then he does great things as well. So, and it could happen one play to the next. So he's confounding. It was a tight one. I thought Stanton had a good series, but there's plenty of awards to give out. So I'm going to give it to Soto because, to be fair, he led that comeback. We were about to get no hit until Soto came along. Soto saved us from being no hit and then gave us the go-ahead run, too. Drove in the go-ahead run. That should have won us the game. So I'm gonna give it to Soto. He had a decent series, not even the best series ever, just a decent one, and he just continues to be phenomenal. That's just what he is, man. He's just phenomenal. We're so lucky and blessed to have him. Let's ask the fans. FJ says Soto. Stevie B says Soto. Sunil says I'm going high key co-MVPs, Judge and Soto. Low key Stanton. Okay. Sierra says co-MVP Poteet and Stanton. MVP starting rotation. Frederick says Soto, so it looks like Soto wins by way of democracy. We're going to go with Soto. Let's go with the low-key MVP. I'm going to jump in with that one, and I'm going to start off with, again, Verdugo had a couple of big moments, and I think you could maybe make the argument he wins a clutch award, but for me, the low-key MVP is Stanton. Awesome. That's just what he is, man. He's another confounding figure. Because he was over 13 with 6 strikeouts against the Dodgers. I looked like, this is it. And then he hit 2 shots to the moon this series. And he was great. So, Big G's back. Big G, great series. He was my low-key MVP. Let's go with Rob.
I'm going with Soto. My MVP was Torres. My second choice would have been Soto, so I'm going to give that one to Juan Soto. Him just being in the lineup makes everything better. Makes everything better, and you see it. Even the game that Judge didn't play, it didn't matter because Juan Soto was there, and we played some small, got a W out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uncle Tats.
Yeah, that's why I gave Soto the MVP. Because just the impact of him being back in the lineup, we saw an immediate difference. But my low-key award does go to Torres. Because we may not be, we haven't been able to really give him the credit too often. And he had a great series with the bat. Like we said, his defense was solid this series. So I had to give him some recognition for it.
All right. Let's ask the fans. All kinds of different options. Joan goes low-key Judge. Sean says Stantonian low-key. I like that. Frederick says Stanton. And Empire State of Baseball, I believe Verdugo. Stevie B. Stanton. FJ low-key, a tie between Volpe and Stanton. So FJ says low-key a tie between Volpe and Stanton. What would you say, guys? Do you think Stanton wins the low-key from the fans? It looks like it's kind of
It seems like they got to. Yep.
looks like G gets the low-key. Let's go with a clutch award. Actually, quite a few clutch moments in this series. You could think about Austin Wells. You could think about Trevino. You could think about Verdugo, bases clearing, and then you could also think about Soto. Ton of options. Let's ask Rob breaking it all down for us.
This was the toughest one to choose from because
Yeah.
while we had 2 blowouts, the game could have gotten away from us. So you can give it to Judge for that diving catch in center field the other night because that game could have very well been blown if he doesn't make that play.
Yeah.
You can even look at the loss yesterday. So that's where I'm going to go. Giving this one to Juan Soto. He gave us a lead in a clutch moment. I'm giving 2 awards to Soto. He broke up the no-hitter, and then he gave us the lead for what could have been a series sweep if not for another rough defensive play. So even in a loss, Juan Soto comes up clutch. And yeah, and Jones giving it to Wells is to annoy Ken. I like that.
I love it.
Sorry, Ken. But yeah, I'm with Soto. That was a big moment, despite the loss.
I mean, Soto was the exact definition of clutch. That is exactly him. He's one of the most clutch players I've seen since Derek Jeter already, and he's only been here like a couple months, and he's already one of the most clutch players I've seen. It's just crazy. Every single spot, it almost feels like he's coming through. Uncle Tats.
I gave it to the catchers because I really, with the bat, there's so many directions you could go in. But we were saying how the offense just hasn't really been there for the catchers. But they were kind of staying in our good graces because of the way that they're calling the games. So I had to take the opportunity to give them credit for their at bats with key hits to help us win another series. So I'm giving it to Trevino and Wells for their at bats.
It's a good shout. So going back and forth with this one because there's actually a lot of options. I was dead set on giving it to Verdugo because he had a huge clutch bases clearing hit. And I was like, that's it. He's got the award. But then Wells comes along and has a huge 3-run home run. And then Soto saves the game. Well, should have saved the game. Would have saved the game. But I'm going to change it up a little bit. And I'm going to give it to Wells. Because that was clutch. That was a very clutch moment. We needed it. He made the game a laugher. And it was also very important for him. Because he's run into some terrible luck. He's hit the ball hard, and it never seems to go anywhere. And he's really, really struggling. And then to come through like that was a big, big moment for him. So I'm giving Wells the clutch award to change it up a little bit. Let's ask the fans. FJ Soto for clutch. Can't argue with that whatsoever. Jones says catchers don't get enough credit for game calling. They've done a great job. Ken says Cortez. Frederick says Soto. Jones says clutch. Wells is annoying. Ken, love that so much.
Jonathan says Wells.
Jonathan says Wells. So it's about, what would you say, 3-2 Wells right now?
Yeah.
Looks like it. I mean, it looks like Wells is going to get it.
I think so.
Which is fine. If you want to look at the catcher position real quick and just say, if you platoon the 2 of them, put their numbers together, we got one really good offensive catcher, and they're both fantastic defensively. So,
yes,
hey, you'll take that because the Yankees are not going to have one everyday catcher. We've already seen that. Both guys 2 games this series. They both catch certain pitchers. I'm going to take that from the catcher. I would love to see Wells hitting the ball better overall because I know he can. But, hey, Trevino's been great this year, and Wells has been great this year calling games. They're both top-tier framers back there.
Yeah,
so, hey,
right.
You're going to take that. You're going to absolutely take that.
Sierra says Weaver was clutch. He came up in some big spots, some big outs. I think that's a really good shout from Sierra. Sean, Wells and Trevino. So that's officially made Wells the winner of the clutch award. And Sean agrees with Uncle Tats there. Trevino, not only did he hit that 3-run home run, it was so clutch that he saved a run from what was going to be a wild pitch. He made a great stop, great stop, and again, had Rizzo done a better job, and then had Holmes done a better job, then that would have won the game for the Yankees. So anyway, Wells gets the clutch award. Good for him. Let's start with asking the fans who you would have voted for as the pitching award, our Cy Young for the series. Let's ask the fans, who do you want as the winner of the pitching award? Who was the best pitcher? Some good candidates. Cortez surprised us all. Thought he had a great series. Well, you could argue Weaver had a good one. You could argue Rodon.
Just pick a name.
Don't pick any, because you don't want to pick Canely.
No, but
or Hamilton.
Well, that's true. There's a lot of
Cortez, Rodon.
Okay, the votes are coming in now. Got Jonathan going Cortez, CBB saying Rodon, FJ saying Rodon, Ken going Cortez, Steele going with Stroman, Will saying Weaver, pitching Rodon. Looks like Rodon wins. Okay, good job, fans. Thank you very much.
I love you, Joan. I love Joan because I don't even have to say it now. I got someone else to pick on my dad for me.
Sierra trying to rig the vote by voting Poteet 1,000 times.
I feel like this is last name biased here.
It counts as one, I'm afraid, Sierra. Okay, let's ask Uncle Tats, who is your pitching award winner?
I gave it to Cortez. Yeah, I thought his outing yesterday was just what he needed for a road game. We weren't getting any hits. We were being no hit, and he was able to keep up. And he held it down and really, if he has his normal road outing, we're way behind the 8 ball in that game. So if it wasn't for Cortez's outing, Soto would not have been able to be clutch.
Good shout, Rob.
I can't pick one. I'm just going to give it to the starters because this is a top 10 Royals offense. The one thing they don't do very well is hit a lot of home runs, but the Yankees pitching went in there and shut them down. The rotation absolutely kept them down. It wasn't until the bullpen had one rough inning really against them the other night, and it didn't matter because we were blowing them out. That rotation shut them down, man, and they have been on such a run, and even without Cole, without Schmidt, we mentioned Poteet, what he's been able to do. That's 3 starts now in a row where he's looked magnificent in a spot role that's probably going to get taken away from him when Cole comes back, but he has answered the bell each and every time they've used him. This rotation continues to be the best rotation in baseball, so I'm going to give them all a shout.
Agree with that. Do you know what? I'm going to listen to Sierra. I'm going to give it to Poteet. I think Rodon probably deserves it. So, in fact, I'm going to give a cool pitching award between Poteet and Rodon. I've decided they both were outrageously good. How good has Poteet been, man? He deserves a ton of credit. And Sierra's happy. Let's go. She obviously has a thing for Poteet, but Poteet deserves it. He's pitching to like a 1 ERA. And I agree with this comment here. Weaver cracked me up with his finger guns. Yeah, so I'm going to give a cool MVP, Rodon and Poteet for pitching award. Okay, let's go with the fun stuff. Who takes the L? Let's go, Rob.
Gabagool, fake Italian Anthony Rizzo. He does it again. Even in a game where he hits a home run and finally gets one out of the infield, his defense continues to make my blood boil. I don't know who else I can give it to. Canely, he didn't cost us the game, though. Anthony Rizzo, sorry.
Agreed. Uncle Tats.
Yeah, I gave the L to the play with Rizzo and Holmes. So that really was the only negative part of the whole series.
Yeah, Do you know what, Tats? I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give it to both Rizzo and Holmes. Um, I think that play was ridiculous. It can't happen. It can't happen. Holmes was actually pitching fine until that play happened. It was a ground ball. Rizzo's got to take charge. I don't know why he decided to go to Starbucks, drive through, pick up a coffee, and then come back and wait for the ball to arrive to him. I never understood that. You know what I mean? Just charge the ball. Charge the ball. Take charge. You're experienced. You're semi-gold glove caliber first baseman. But he's not done that. And that's happened already earlier in that game where he sat and watched the play come to him. I don't know why he's taking his time. Why he's letting it come to you, bro? Go get it. You know? Early bird catches the worm and all that shit. So he takes the L for that. But then, of course, Holmes blew the save. And he left a little bit of a pitch over the zone there, and it was lined. I didn't think Holmes pitched all that badly, but he still blew the save. And after the Yankees coming back from a position I never thought they were going to come back from, considering there being no hit for the first 6 innings, for Soto to claw that right back and to give us the lead, for Holmes to give it right back, can't happen. So they're both getting the L for me. Let's go with the fans. Who have you guys got as the L? Looks like there's a couple of votes already for Rodon. After Rodon, sorry, Rizzo. Let's have a look and see who else have we got here. Ken, the umpires. Well, that's a good point too, Ken. Actually, they missed a couple of pitches on Holmes. I thought he could have had a strikeout twice, and it was called a ball both times, and then that was it. So I kind of agree with you. I thought the umps were really bad, and also it was a balk. That was another thing.
That was a balk.
That was a balk. I mean, I don't even know what the balk rule means anymore, but that
I don't think they do.
That was
They don't
the
even
absolute definition of a balk. And you saw Boone in the dugout going, you just give up at this point. Like, not even the umpires know what the balk rule is anymore. The guy balked. That has to be run. So I agree. I think the umpires were freaking terrible as well, as usual. But as FJ points out, the ump's been bad for everyone, not just the Yankees. That's why I hesitate to give them too many awards unless it's totally egregious. So Stevie B says take the L Rizzo. Sean says take the L Rizzo. Holmes and Rizzo for the L. FJ, I agree with you, FJ, on that. Take the L Rizzo, says Sunil. Honorary mention Sal Licata. And looks like that will be the L will be going to Rodon. Why do I keep calling him Rodon? Rizzo. And let's go with another one of my favorite awards, the Aaron Hicks Award. For the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. The absolute definition of the worst. Aaron Hicks. Let's ask Rob, who's your Aaron Hicks Award winner for this series?
Gotta be the umpires, man. Like, what is a balk? What are the rules now? Do they have a rule book? Do they want to get replaced by the robots? Because it sure seems like it. These morons continue to get things wrong every single game, and it's not just the Yankees, but since we watch the Yankees, we see it with our teams. And I'm sure, since Blue Gold, I'm pretty sure you're an Orioles fan. You can tell us as well how many times they've screwed your team over. These umpires stink. And it's like they're all trying to honor Angel Hernandez any which way they can every single game by getting calls wrong. They cost Clay Holmes a strike 3 yesterday. That probably would have been strike 3 in Yankee Stadium. I don't know why they didn't call that a strike. The balk that should have been a balk, but it wasn't a balk. What the fuck is the rule anymore? Get it together, umpires, because every single inning I'm screaming for robots or AI to take over this, because you guys clearly can't do your jobs right. Maybe a computer could. Maybe it's time we finally get not even like a computer system that just tells them to pitch. Get an actual robot out there, and it will probably do better than what these umpires are doing.
Uncle Tats.
Oh, mine is not gameplay related. My Hicks Award is going to the Yes app. And the IT team that runs it, like shit. where I pay for my subscription every month, and then yesterday I could not access the app, and they say I don't have a subscription. Meanwhile, they have my fucking money. And it says that I'm subscribed for it tells me when till July, and they're like, you don't have an account. I'm like, but I'm paying for it. It's terrible. One, they raised the rate again, so now it's $25 a month for an app that I can't even watch.
Dude, just stream the games illegally. $25 a month is ridiculous. But speaking of which, I'm sorry to cut you off, but you guys, if you follow the Yes Network on Twitter, whoever the intern is that's running that page stinks too, because he posted a Gleyber Torres hit when Gleyber had the home run, or Gleyber drew a walk the other night, and they posted his hit from the night before saying Gleyber comes through. And everyone's like, that was from yesterday. And so they delete it within 5 seconds. It was I'm like, who is running this account? They're getting so much stuff wrong this year. Yes, the Yes Network in general has taken a real step backwards.
But yeah, and we were going round. I was on the phone with them for 45 minutes, and they still couldn't resolve the situation. They're like, well, try deleting the app and reinstalling it. When I went to go reinstal, and then when I went to do that, it goes, are you sure you want to cancel your subscription? So now this poor woman on the phone just trying to stay so calm and polite for me. Meanwhile, I'm raving like a freaking lunatic.
I can picture that.
And it was after 45 minutes, the last 2 minutes, I ended up cursing. I tried never to curse with customer service. It's not like they went out of their way to inconvenience me. They just happened to be, answering the phone. But no, the Yes app, you guys got to clean that shit up. Because especially if you're going to raise the rates now because you want to have your own content just for the app, you got to do better. No, Blue Gold, I signed in and out of this thing 4 freaking times. And all my information is there except for when I go to click watch game, it says please subscribe. So,
Juan J. Filippelli, if you're listening to this, listen to Uncle Taz and fix your ES network. Thank you.
And then they're like, and then they told me, well, you have a cable account. Like, no, I don't have cable. That's why I have the freaking app.
Agreed. That's a good one, Uncle T. It really sucks. I'm gonna go with the umpires. I tend to agree. There wasn't that many egregious, horrific things that really pissed me off this series. I thought it was a great series. Thought we played great. Should have swept them. I thought. I also want to give a shout out. If I was to give another positive award, I would give that to. I thought that Ryan Rucco did a great job. It was so refreshing to listen to Ryan Rucco on the call. I thought his calls were great. He added the kind of excitement that we've needed. He's just such a great announcer. He should be the Yankees permanent announcer fairly soon down the line. I think they should move Michael Kay to the radio and work with Susan and have Ryan Rucco do that.
Leave my radio alone. I like it the
I do the telecast because Rucco's great. I love that call that he had when Aaron Judge's home run when he's like, "Here's a machine." I love that. That's the kind of stuff that we love to see. So I thought he was great. So there isn't really that many things that were egregious. I would say that the umpires were bad. I thought they were bad for both sides, but they were particularly bad for the Yankees. They missed. I think they did miss a couple of strikes on Holmes, which would have ended the game. One absolute strike and one marginal one, and he missed both, and it sucks. And and then the missed balk, and then other things as well. The umpires generally suck, so I would say that they get the Aaron Hicks Award for that. And as Sean says, Rucco and Nelson nailed it. I also want to give credit to Jeff Nelson. He was really right on the Rizzo stuff. He was not happy with Rizzo's defense and first base. So anyone, because I have seen content creators from a lot of people that we love and respect that were saying it's not Rizzo's fault, not Rizzo's fault. Well, Jeff Nelson said it was his fault. Jeff Nelson was like, why is he letting the ball just dribble to him? Go get it. Take charge. So I thought Jeff Nelson did a great job this series, and Ryan Ricco was just on fire. So really good. Not much to be unhappy about. It was a great series, and I've already kind of forgotten about the blown save. I thought it happens, man. We had a great series. We made one of the great teams. The Royals are a great team. Got a ton of talent right throughout, and we should have swept them. So we'll take 3 out of 4 off to Boston. Like it. Let's go.
Tad's still trying to figure out his Yes Network subscription there.
Actually, I was just checking to see if there was an follow-up email before we signed off, but no, they have not even contacted me yet.
I'm telling you, just find alternative ways to watch these games. It's better than paying money for that app. Even MLB TV. If I didn't get MLB TV for free every year, I would not pay for it. You try to watch a game and it says, sorry, couldn't load the game. For what? You need to have your location on just to watch a game. You need to know where you are at all times in case for blackouts. You're paying $120 a year and you got to get blackouts? No, thank God I get it for free from T-Mobile.
Yeah, and it also depends on your area and what cable services are in your area if you get it at all. Like in South Carolina, we went to get my father the Yes app for the smart TV. He's out of network. How? You're paying for the app. You're not signing up through cable. This is, you're outside the tri-state area. This app is not available.
Why would you? Again, why would you? The game should be on locally, no matter what. Anyway, this whole thing's it's an absolute.
It's all these restrictions. It's
such a joke.
It's fucking terrible. It is terrible.
I've got MLB TV obviously for Europe. So when I went home to New York, I couldn't watch the games because it's for European subscribers only. Even though so I couldn't watch it. I had to watch it on illegal streams. Isn't that ridiculous? So I can actually watch the Yankees better when I'm not home in New York. What sense does that make? It's all about money, 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 and I think it's a freaking disgrace.
All right, here's a positive. There's not much. The veterans actually get a pretty good deal.
Should be free for them.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The fact that they're making veterans pay $75 for an app that barely works is a joke in its own right. But at least they get a discount, I guess.
Yep, I'll stick to. I'm going to end up canceling this thing today and just sticking to my radio. If there's a game I want to watch, I'll take the night off from work and go to the bar and hang out.
Old school ways.
Everybody watching, let's help a man out. Poor Uncle Tax has to go back to 1920 and listen to the radio all the time. I mean, what are we doing here? We got to do something better.
I prefer it on the radio anyway. It was just an afternoon game yesterday, so I wanted to watch a little bit before work.
Help a man out.
Yeah, Mr. Barrows, your next pay cycle is going to go up, just by the way.
The man was listening
they raised it $5 more hours.
The man was listening to Babe Ruth on the radio. Now he's having to listen to Juan Soto and Aaron Judge on the radio. 100 years later. What sense does that make? It's just not fair.
Was the world black and white back in the 20s, Tats?
I always wanted to ask that.
Yeah, Jonathan, I'm going to spend a lot of time at the bar. Got that fucking right.
But have one of those cool old cars like they had in the 30s, in the 40s.
Everything was like it was in fast motion.
Neil and I, side by side.
Did you have
Sounds like a terrible time.
Did you have the Flintstone cars?
Now, Sunil could tell you about that era. That was the era before.
Yeah, Sunil was prehistoric era.
But that is going to wrap things up for us today. I'm glad that we were able to end at least on a little bit of a laugh. But we do appreciate everybody that spent their week with us, contributed to the awards, contributed to the comment section, to everybody that's been watching on Facebook and Twitter. Appreciate you guys as well. Just remember, jump over to YouTube, hit that sub button so you can join the chat, and hit the like button, and share this out with your friends, your family, the stranger on the corner. Hope everybody enjoys their weekend. What's up?
Rob, are we doing the Sunday broadcast?
I should be able to make that. If you have to start it without me for the first few minutes of it, but I will be able to make it. So there's a little update for you guys. Sunday night baseball, Yankees, Red Sox wrapping up this game set. Hopefully another series win. That'd be great. But we should be calling that game Father's Day as well.
And to all the fathers, happy Father's Day that are out there, especially you, Mr. Barros. Hope you enjoy your Father's Day and everybody else. But that's going to wrap things up right now for us. So make sure you tune in Sunday to watch Rob and Donald call the game. And that will always be a good time to be had. So hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. As I always say, with those pinstripes of pride, and play hard.